There we go.
All right, welcome back to the Friday edition of the Pat and Mike Show. Typically on Fridays, you get to hear Pat and I banter back and forth about some good, interesting stories that we've experienced during the week. But as the weeks has progressed, we decided to bring on Mick because the information he has is so timely with talking about insurance, auto insurance, things that have changed with everything going on with COVID-19. So I'm super excited, and Mick, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, glad to be here, guys. Thanks for inviting me on. Obviously, we go back, so just happy to be a part of the show. Been watching you guys for a few weeks now. You guys are doing a great job.
Appreciate it. Couple quick reminders. So the promotions we have going on right now that have been so well received is for all frontline responders. And I know Pat every single week tries to further identify what this class looks like, but free powers of attorney, free medical powers of attorney, free healthcare powers of attorney. And, anyone out there still in the front lines, still having to go to work, help the community, don't be shy. Though you are our people, we'll let you know right away if you're part of the program. Most likely you are if you're the one calling. So please take advantage of that. It's super well received, and we love to give back. And then the other thing is the 50% off for all estate planning services.
And as Mike was saying, in terms of expanding it there's kind of your traditional first responders, police, firefighters, EMTs, the people out there, who you traditionally think of, but in kind of a non-standard situation like this, adding the people who are keeping the grocery stores open and keeping us fed. I mean, all those people are really, truly on the front lines of this. And I know, Mick, you and your group do a ton of work with first responders as well.
Yeah, we do. My business partner, Brian Eade, is a former Detroit cop. So we've got a huge following, not only with police agencies, but fire departments, EMTs, they're a huge part of our book of business. We've got 10,000 clients here, and I could easily say 30% of them are those, first responders. So go ahead.
I was just saying that's amazing. Yeah, you serve a great class of people.
Yeah, we do. We even got a hashtag where if you searched us, on Google, hashtag MIFS gives back, you'll see all the donations we make out in the marketplace, whether it's unfortunately a fallen officer, we donate to their family, canine vests for police departments that have canine dogs. The list really goes on. So anytime we get a call and there's a need, we're typically showing up with a check, and we're happy to do it.
Beautiful. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes. What are we talking today? We're talking the new laws, the new reform and when it comes to auto insurance, PIP and such, which is not our wheelhouse, so that's why we got Mick here. And then we're also going to talk about what should people be doing right now while they're not driving their cars. I know I've seen some companies offering some refunds. You can put your car on hold, vacation, garage. I don't know what all the lingo is, but wherever you want to start, I know there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, sure. So let's start with the COVID stuff. Our carriers, and we got many of them, they reacted pretty quickly, which was great. They saw what was happening. They saw the shutdown happening. They saw people weren't going into the office. Cars were parked in driveways. And so many of our carriers and our lead carriers, AAA, Progressive, Hanover, Safeco, State Auto, they created a kind of a premium relief situation where on a monthly basis, you were getting a percentage of your premium owed back. Could it have been 15%, maybe 20, but I think that was a nice nod, knowing that, let's face it, people aren't driving right now.
Mm-hmm.
So most people are seeing that in their billing statements now. And again, it just depends on the carrier, what type of refund that you're getting. What we've been doing as agents is we've been taking it a step further. So if we've got a client that's got, 4 or 5 vehicles in the household, not all those vehicles are being driven right now. And if things are tough and you want to save a buck or two, then we're taking, maybe 2 of those vehicles and we're putting them in a comp only storage, if you will, coverage situation. So not street legal, that car's not to be driven, but if it's parked in your driveway or your garage, you can really lower your insurance premium on a per vehicle basis. So we've got a lot of customers take advantage of that.
Is that something you can start and stop anytime? Hey, I give you a call and I'm like, hey, let's do that this month. Is that how that works, or is it a certain period of time?
Yeah, there's typically no limitations. We try to get away from clients or situations where it's one day they want the coverage on, the next day they want it off. We try to avoid that because because that can be problematic. But if you know, a family knows they're not going to drive the Chevy Traverse for 6 weeks, then let's put that in a comp only situation. So hopefully you're talking to your agents. I think most people have taken advantage of that across the state, across the country.
Any other tips when it comes to dealing with what's going on right now, or is that pretty much it? Just, you know, be evaluating your usage.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other one that we're really pushing is most of our carriers have some kind of telematics program, and this is kind of new to the industry, but it's in a nutshell, it's a device that if you're willing to participate, you can plug this into your vehicle. Some companies have them coordinated with your smartphone, but essentially it's a device that the insurance company monitors your driving behavior. There's 3 critical pieces of information that they're looking at. They want to know, when are you driving, right, during the course of the day? How often are you driving in terms of miles? And then the biggest one is, are you braking and accelerating fast? And so with that, they're looking for distraction. So the nice thing is that this is still new and the technology is still new. So most of these insurance carriers are offering an upfront participation discount. Could be 7%, could be 10%, but then when the monitoring period is through, it could be another 10 or 15% off. So we've had a lot of customers that have been taking advantage of that. They're not driving, right? So why not take advantage of the discount and run with it?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned it's a newer technology. I think when it first started, I had one of those little devices, and I couldn't figure it out. It was almost becoming like a video game to me, of like, all of a sudden I'll just be driving, my foot's not on the brake or gas, and it'll beep, and I'll be like, oh, got me. Like,
yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Probably better now, but I can guarantee you this: with it parked in the driveway and the car not running, my rates would probably go down.
For sure. I use the same one, so I wanted to experiment it with it too. So I did it with one of my companies. I won't mention their name, but yeah, it was just beeping nonstop. And so it's funny, after a while, you just kind of get used to, what are they really looking at? When am I going to get beeped at? My wife's probably going to kill me, but I stopped letting her drive my car because it was beeping nonstop. I was able to see what was going on. So I said, honey, you're going to kill my discount here.
I love it. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk then. Let's transition into the new rules, the new laws. I know you got a lot to talk about there.
And yeah, this is from my understanding a fairly seismic shift in the way Michigan auto insurance works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They've been talking about reform for years. There's been different politicians and different sides of the aisle that have tried to push something forward. And it was, last May where finally something got passed, and it was bipartisan. It's pretty complex. Many of us in the industry were thinking, all right, why don't we start somewhere small and just kind of see how this goes? But it's a seismic change, and it's huge. And one wrong decision could be catastrophic to your financial well-being. So that's why we're trying to get out there and educate our customers and educate the public and your viewers, and hopefully we can kind of clear up some of the confusion today. The 90% of it surrounds PIP, and PIP today is unlimited, and that's your first party medical coverage, right? So that's,
what does PIP stand for then?
That's personal injury protection.
Okay.
And so that's your first party medical, right? So, your family, your household family members, you're covered under PIP on your policy. You get banged up in an auto accident, you go to the hospital, you got the coverage. It's unlimited. It doesn't matter if the claim is $50K or $15 million. You got coverage for that. Now, today, the MCCA is the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association, and they basically pick up any claim roughly over $500K. So that fund that you pay into, and if you look at your policy, it's a per vehicle charge. Today, it's in excess of $220, $240 per vehicle that you're paying for that MCCA fee. But as you can imagine, if you've got a serious injury, we're talking millions of dollars, that fund steps in, right? Moving forward, July 2nd, people are going to start to choose a PIP limit. So you can keep unlimited, which is something our agency is promoting heavily, and I'll get to those reasons in a minute. If you don't want to keep unlimited, you can go with a $500,000 option. You can go with a $250,000 option. You can go with a $50,000 option if you're Medicare, Medicaid eligible, but everybody in the household has to be on that plan. Or you can medically opt out completely of PIP. And the only way you can do that is if you've got a qualified health plan. Right? So your health insurance cannot exclude auto insurance industries, of course. Everybody in the household has to be on that plan, that insurance plan, and the family deductible cannot exceed $6,000. So that's the way you can opt out of PIP.
So the numbers that you're talking about, I feel like every time I get auto insurance, I'm always picking some numbers like 250, 500. What are those numbers that I was previously selecting and the new numbers?
Yeah. So that is specific to bodily injury, and that's also a big part of this law. So your bodily injury limits are the limits that the other driver taps into in the event that you get sued, right? So I'm at fault by more than 50%. Michigan's a comparative negligence state, so you can't sue anybody if you're yourself more than 50% at fault, but you can sue the at-fault driver. So that's important because the new law dictates that 250-500 is the new defaulted limit that us as agents are encouraged to sell, and you as consumers are going to be expected to pick up that limit. You could choose a limit that's less than that, right? You could go down to 5,100, which is $50,000 per person that's involved in an injury, or $100,000 per accident. So that's why they have that kind of split limit terminology, right? So with the new defaulted limit of 250-500, you're talking $250,000 per person, $500,000 per event. And the reason why that's important to bring up is because the state knows it's going to get more litigious around here. Let's just say somebody elects to choose a $250,000 PIP limit for their family, okay? And somebody gets into an accident. Let's say I'm the one that hits them from behind, and now they got 3 kids in the back seat that are in the hospital. They've only got $250,000 per kid. Now, if they're in the ICU or an emergency room, $250,000 is going to get burned through really, really fast, right? The scariest thing about the new law, and this is what we've been telling anybody who'll listen, especially our own customers, is that the new law will allow that person that got hit by me to sue me for economic damages associated with her medical bills. So think about that, right? She could knowingly or unknowingly pick a low PIP limit. Let's just say her agent really doesn't counsel her on what that limit means.
Yeah, or worse, they're just doing it online and you just pick the cheapest and you're just good to go.
Yeah, that name,
you're good to go.
Exactly. Yeah, that name your price stuff is really scary, and it should scare the consumer, right? But yeah, the new law, if you're allowed to sue somebody for economic damages associated with medical bills, that's a scary thing. So that's why we're promoting umbrella policies. We're promoting high BI limits. There's just a lot that needs to kind of be shaken out over the next 2 to 3 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because even, I mean, you're saying, what if they chose a low limit or just went with one of those, advertised at 1 PM on ABC or, TBS kind of just do your insurance for, $5 a month or something. But even if somebody had a legitimate, policy, even if they were like, well, 250 or 500,000, that seems good for me. I mean, the amount of medical expense, the amount of potential economic impact there is truly unlimited when you start talking, whole families, catastrophic injuries, that sort of thing.
No doubt. It's a gamble. You're playing Russian roulette, in our opinion, right? Who knows what the situation is going to be? Who knows how bad the injury is going to be? And the scary part is that in every other state in the country, the healthcare industry has skin in the game, right? They've got language in their policies about, at what threshold will they kick in and start covering medical bills associated with auto injuries, right? Well, for the last 50, 60 years, these health insurance carriers have been able to kind of skate by not being involved in auto-related injuries, right? So there's still a lot of gray area out there. How are these health plans going to respond? Are they going to require a deductible in the amount of $500,000, which means, Blue Cross Blue Shield or Humana, they're going to want you to choose that $500,000 PIP limit so that the first dollar gets paid by the auto insurance company and then they pick up everything else, right?
Gotcha.
Hey, Mick, question on this. Do you see that your auto insurance premiums, is it like they're staying the same, but they're giving people lower cost options that don't really give them adequate coverage? Or do you see as a whole, like we're going to be paying more for insurance? What do you see as far as premiums go there?
Time will tell. Time will tell on a couple of different fronts. So the first thing is that these companies are just starting to release their rates. hopefully companies are getting approved by the state with their rating, but they're just starting to release the rates. And the thing that the new law dictates is that the insurance companies have to freeze their PIP rates for a period of 8 years. But that does not put any capping on bodily injury, right? Or your uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. So any rate reduction that you might see with, let's say, a PIP rate freeze could be offset by the fact that you're going from 100, 300 bodily injury up to 250, 500. So you could negate that, right? The line we keep using is how important is it going to be for you to save $30 or $40 a month and gamble with your family's, health care, your medical bills that you might need. How important is that $30 or $40 a month? To some people, it's very important, right? To others, they're not willing to take that gamble.
That's a conversation we wind up having all the time, and twofold on it. One that's really relevant to your industry in particular is it is amazing to me the number of people who come to us and they want to put together an estate plan because maybe they're taking a long trip or maybe something happened. There's some event coming up. It's like, oh, all the family is flying to Alaska to take a cruise as a thing. So we'll set up for that. And it's like, I understand why that would be a triggering event, but I'm like, you drove around Michigan winters for 50 years. How many accidents did you get in? How many times did you skid off the road and, white knuckle on the steering wheel? And that wasn't what made you think, oh, I need to get this squared away. It's this flight where nothing is going to go wrong. Nothing's going to go wrong on the flight, but driving around, Detroit or West Michigan during the winter, I mean, sooner or later, you're getting in a fender, but something's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, our biggest challenge is that, we've got so many forces against us in the industry because, 15% or 15 minutes is going to save you 15% and everything's kind of commoditized. But, just like you guys know with your profession, the devil is always in the details. And if you don't have an agent that's talking to you about these decisions, about what the ramifications may be, they're not worth the commission that you're paying them. If anybody watching this today has an agent that hasn't reached out to them or sent them some kind of notification on this new law, which essentially was made public in May of 2019, then I'll go as far as to say they're not worth the commission you've been paying them, So
I feel like this is a really good opportunity, Mick, where we should share your information.
Perhaps we should. Here, for example, would
if
be
you haven't talked to your insurance agent and you want to have a second opinion, which you should, Mick's your guy.
So to answer your other question there, Mike, long term, the market could stabilize and we could see in the next 3, 4, 5 years prices come down. But there's a lot of what ifs that need to take place. So we got to get more carriers in the marketplace, right? Michigan is kind of unique in that it's dominated by these super regional companies. You got a few national players like, Safeco and Allstate, State Farm, but you don't have some big names here, and they won't play in this sandbox because of PIP and because of the legislative environment here. So we get some more players, we get some more carriers. You got more options. Obviously, competition is good for all. Prices hopefully can go down, right?
And I'm sorry, am I right in thinking that this brings us a little bit more in line with the way a lot of other states work, in the sense that Michigan, I don't know why, but we have a unique relationship with automobiles and car insurance and this and that. There's something about Michigan, I don't know why, but the legislation has always been a little bit different around cars. But this, I believe, having been insured in a couple other states, is closer to what they're doing, but still pretty unique in the grand scheme of things.
It is. I mean, I think the next state has a $500,000 PIP option, right? But the key difference is that the healthcare industry, Medicare, Medicaid, they have skin in the game. Their policy language is written in a certain way where, for the most part, people aren't going to be hung out to dry. And if they are, well, then they've got the courts and the legal system to go after the at-fault party, right? The other thing about the law and hopefully stabilizing the marketplace is that, I think the people that developed the law, I don't know because I'm not in their head, but I think they obviously wanted to bring that level of uninsured driver down in the state of Michigan. It's one of the highest in the country. So typically you're talking about 35% of the people on the road today, right? So 3 out of 10 cars, let's just say, don't have any insurance at all on their automobile.
Seriously?
Seriously, right? And in some parts of our state, right, some cities that are harder hit economically, you're talking 55, in excess of 60% of the people in those municipalities are not carrying insurance. That's a scary thought.
That is scary.
Wow.
Yikes.
So again, if we can get more carriers, if we can get more people participating in the pool, then the market stabilizes and rates should come down, right?
Well, and that I know is at least, or I would imagine, is at least part of the purpose for this reform. I just know, moving from, being insured in Chicago versus being insured in Michigan, the difference in the rates was noticeable.
Yeah.
By like a factor of 10. But I understand too. I mean, there's different coverage would come in these, in a PIP situation or this catastrophic injury type situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we always get kind of a chuckle when somebody from Illinois or Ohio calls us up, and then we give them the rate and they fall out of their seat. We can hear it on the phone, and they think I stuttered or something like that. And it's the highest in the country, the auto rates here in Michigan. So something needed to change.
Mick, I know we're here all based in Michigan, but the reach of this goes far beyond our borders. Can you help people from other states? Are you licensed in other states? Like, what is your target market or the area you serve?
Yeah, great question. So we've got 9 offices. 8 of them are in Michigan. 1 of them's in Chicago. But we also have our non-resident licenses, right? So we have the ability to write, auto and home insurance, commercial insurance in probably about 15 to 20 states.
Okay.
So we're well equipped here in the Great Lakes region. We can do some things in the Carolinas and Florida with the snowbirds, New York, Pennsylvania. So we've got a pretty good, territory that we can help people out in.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, we have plenty of people going back and forth to Florida. A lot of which are still stuck in Florida.
That's right. You're right about that.
So I know you were going to talk a little about ERISA coverage.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's another part of the law that can be kind of complex for people. So let's say you work at one of the big 3, right? And you're involved in their ERISA plan for health insurance, right? So they're kind of self-funded, right? In the event that you are a employee of that company with an ERISA plan, the thing that's kind of scary is if you're involved in an accident, let's say it was another driver that caused it, you get a lawyer involved, you go through that whole rigmarole, and there's a judgment that looks to be that it's going to be in your favor. Well, that's where the ERISA plan can come in, and basically they have first dollar rights on any judgment and take any proceeds that they wish to cover their costs, to cover your medical bills. So that's an implication as well. So if you're gonna, let's say, choose a low limit, you're gonna opt out medical because you think that plan is gonna cover you, that's where ERISA can come in and give you a big surprise because they're gonna get paid. The lawyer that represented you is gonna get paid, and who knows if you're, what kind of table scraps you're dealing with at the end of it, and behold, you have the child that's in a wheelchair for the rest of his or her life, right? These are the realities of the situation. So,
Wow.
And again, I know you said it. I just want to reiterate that this is not a subtle shift. Like, Michigan has worked a very particular way for about 60 years now, and everyone knows how it works because that's what happened when they were in an accident, and that's what happened in their past experience. But starting, I think you said a month from now, July 2nd, everything that you knew about how it worked before is out the window.
correct.
And basically all of the experience that people have with Michigan insurance has to be completely rewritten for them.
Right.
Okay.
Right. We keep saying here in the office, it's going to be Wild West, right, for the next 2 to 3 years. And so every single one of us here at my agency, there's 65 of us in 9 locations. We're pushing customers to keep unlimited for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
Most of our customers, fortunately, have 250, 500 already because we've already educated them on the importance of that. And we're also pushing umbrella policies. We feel like if you've got assets, if you own a home, if you've got tremendous future earnings and income, you got to protect those, because anything can happen. I could leave the golf course and look at my golf score real quickly, and then boom, I run into somebody, and that could be a major change in my life if I'm not covered correctly. There's just too much that has to be flushed out right now, and we just keep telling our customers, don't be the guinea pig with naming your price and trying to save $50 a month. Stick with what you know. Wait for the health insurance to kind of respond. Wait for the health insurance company to be stuck with a $9 million medical bill, and let's see how they change their policy language. Protect yourself. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Mick, what does the process look like if I wanted you to? Do you review, like if I wanted to see what my coverage looks like will you review it for me? You can quote what you think is appropriate. Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, I mean, real easy process. It's a lot we can talk about over the phone. If you have your deck pages available, you can easily scan those, take a picture of your cell phone, send them to me. I can take a peek at it. I got no problem giving anybody a review, and hopefully we can help them out with getting them in a policy here at this agency. But, anytime any of your customers need a review, any of your customers want to know what an umbrella policy is and how that might help them secure a better retirement, or just give them a little more peace of mind and sleeping at night. Our line is always open. Our agents are always ready to, take on new clients. So anytime.
And I think sorry, Mike. No problem. Oh, I was just going to say that's a pretty important distinction between kind of what we each do, in the sense that we're lawyers. When it comes to setting up an estate plan, when it comes to setting up a trust, something to protect assets, whether it's an asset protection trust or an LLC, that is a strong legal framework to protect yourself. But I would never say to someone, oh, just do that and don't worry about the insurance, because they're both ways of dealing with it. One is a structural solution, the other being hey, how do we pay the lawyers? How do we pay the bills? Where does the money for that come from?
Correct.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff that everyone needs to know. I had no idea of any of this. So
seriously, I'm considering my own coverage right now.
Wait, what do I need to do in the next 30 days before all this, it hits the fan?
Well, hey, give me a call. You got my email, mick@mif.com. You can go to our website. If any customer that you guys have that's watching the podcast, like I said, we're scattered throughout the state, so you can definitely go and find a location near you. We've got some great insurance professionals here that are not focused on making the sale, right? It's about making sure, Mike and Pat are covered correctly. That's first and foremost all we're trying to do. We can educate you. Let's let you make that decision instead of me trying to jam a policy through the door that might not be a good fit for you or for us or for anybody, really.
Right. And I think this conversation stresses the importance of having a professional in your corner who specializes in whatever it is, right? Just because we're lawyers doesn't mean that we are up on every change in the law in every area, right? Like, I had no idea any of this was really happening. We do estate planning day in and day out. That's what we do. This is what you do. And so it's just, this is the classic situation. You don't want, the family law attorney doing your estate plan or whatever, unless they have expertise in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just wanted to loop back around, because you were saying, sort of this different mindset that's kind of education oriented. How do you give back to the community? How do you participate? And so just to touch back on the that program that you talked about in the beginning, the MISFS Gives Back, which I think is just fantastic. And you've been doing for quite a while. We started this our own first responder thing with the outbreak, but it's the kind of thing where we got to keep something going forward on that, because it's just an amazing use of kind of the resources and expertise.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, in my world, agency owners that are my peers are 20 to 30 years older than me, and more times than not, they're on the golf course 4 or 5 days a week. We want to put money back into the community. We want to put money back into the pillars of the community, educators, first responders. that's near and dear to our heart. You know, when our customers know that a portion of the revenue we make off of their policy goes back into the school system or provides some very needed equipment in the fire department, it goes a long way, you know, and it's something we're passionate about. Like I said, Brian's a former Detroit cop, and he's got a great following in the police department. And, you know, gone are the days of an insurance agency putting a billboard on the highway. You know, have you guys ever pulled the car over on the shoulder of the highway because you had to call that agent real quick to get a quote? I mean, it makes no sense to us, right? I mean, it's just having those good relationships within the community, doing the right thing. And we just think that's good business. That's why we're aligned with you guys, because you guys, you know, do the same.
Appreciate it. Well, Mick, I truly appreciate you having you on. Incredible information. You know, just a reminder for, you know, Pat just touched on it again. It's those free power of attorneys is our contribution back on what we can do to help, using our expertise to give back in the community. Also, we understand the financial kind of straits that everyone is in right now, and we're offering 50% off all estate planning services if that part of your, you know, estate plan is not buttoned up. So again, appreciate having you on, and we look forward to everyone, you know, sharing this with anyone who could use the information, because it was great.
All right.
Awesome.
Until next time.
Have a great weekend.
Take care.